at Media Days in Chicago, and I'm joined by new Nebraska head coach Mike Riley. And Coach, earlier this morning you said one of the biggest things in transitioning over is getting your players to understand the values of your program. What would you say some of those are?
Well, I think that, you look at basically the idea of we get kids coming from families. Those families have spent that young man's whole life teaching him to make good choices in every way. It starts out when they're toddlers of don't touch that, it's hot. Well, the choices get bigger as they get older. So you're talking about things like alcohol and drugs and how to treat people, how to treat women. And so it basically flows into the idea that we want to continue to help that guy make good choices like his parents did. So it's a continuing teaching process of all those values that are just basically the difference between right and wrong. And some of them are just like the simplicity of the golden rule about how you treat people. And then you just continue to repeat it and enforce it and make it part of what you think is a substance and value in your program. If all we have is football, that's not enough. I'm too old now to go back on that, because I discovered that at some point that this football thing is great, but we have so much more opportunity here to deal with the growth and development of young people. I love that part of it.
Speaking of making choices, another thing you talked about earlier today, Tommy Armstrong, your quarterback, you're used to a very pro-style kind of offense and a pro-style kind of quarterback, and you've had to make some adjustments and make different choices when it comes to that quarterback position. What have you seen strengths and weaknesses in Tommy so far that has impressed you?
Well, Tommy is a football player overall. That's a strength, and he's got experience, so he's played in games, and that's a positive. He's also a good athlete, and that's a positive. He's a good runner, and that's positive, and he's a good passer. So he's a versatile guy. He hasn't been a total drop-back guy, but that's okay. We can have enough drop-back passing in our game basically to complement what he does. I think coaching is about looking at a guy's strengths and then being able to utilize those strengths on the field, and that will form the identity of who Nebraska is on offense.
One of the big headlines from today, no FCS opponents in the Big Ten after 2016, not looking to schedule any more FCS opponents. What does that do for the Big Ten Conference as a whole, and how does it make an impact on strength of schedule?
Well, I think it's probably a great message to send that this is the way that it should be. Otherwise, you're going to find it's not going to be equal in getting to if you want to have a true playoff system where it's all equal how people get there, then you've got to have some of these kinds of things in place in order to make that real.
Coach, thanks so much for the time. We'll be watching. Good luck this season.
Thank you very much.